that I stand before you just as sort of a living cliche, because the tough times do make you stronger if you survive them. The business came out leaner, we're back into growth, we are a stronger business because of it, but it was a pretty horrible 2008 for the team and us. So anyway, that's to give you a sense of the story. I guess just some practical things that may or may not be helpful. And of course, what I've realised in business, there is no right way. There's only the way that is right for you. So just because some things have worked for us, it may be the absolute opposite would be right for you and your businesses. Each one is unique. There are some things that I have found to be true and consistently true against other great businesses I've looked at. One is, heard it from both of these guys already today, especially in food and drink, is absolutely the product is king. It's a very easy soundbite to say, but it fundamentally, your business starts to go right or starts to go wrong with how good your product is. And it has to be good, not in a way just that you think, but in a way that materially makes it better for your consumer. Because it's not, at the end of the day, yes, you've got to want to be buying your own product, but actually you need millions of people to buy your product. So you've got to make sure you've got a simple way that your product is better than anyone else's. And that difference has to be relevant to the consumer. So for us, it was all about naturalness. And we understood that was something that created consumer benefit, the idea that food was going to be natural, and it was going to be healthy, and all that good stuff. So everything about our business was a marshal behind delivering this product benefit of being more natural. So not using concentrates, using a natural paper stock, making sure the bottle was recycled, making sure that we never put any preservatives or flavourings. And the whole thing was congruent with this simple idea of we will be better than our competitors by being more natural. So that we found to be useful. Second thing, and this is much more technical and sort of boring and businessy, which I wouldn't normally talk about in this, but there's a limit to how great the motivating sound bites, how useful they are. I actually think, if I look back at the last 12 years of the business, we made a decision early on, which if we had got it wrong, we would have been a fundamentally different business. And we certainly would have been much smaller, and we probably wouldn't even exist. And it was the question of, are we going to make our smoothies, or are we going to find a manufacturing partner to make them for us? And I think that's a decision that most of you, if you're thinking about making food products that are going to be sold through retail outlets, it's a decision you're going to be making at some point. Are you going to make it yourself, or are you going to get someone else to make it? And it's a big decision. And I think, well, what was right for us is we made it ourselves at first to get to the trial to prove that there was a market. But then we spent 11 months persuading, basically, trying to find someone that would make these products for these 3 26-year-olds that had no money, no brand, no retailers, no cash. And it was bloody difficult. And we really nearly bottled it quite a few times. We thought, well, we're going to have to build our own little juice plant. But if we'd have done that, there's no way we would have been able to cope and meet the consumer demand that we found. Because if you're running a factory, that in itself is a very demanding business. And to run a factory whilst also then trying to develop and grow a brand and do the sales and the marketing and all the stuff that's consumer-facing, they're very different things. So again, what has been right for us, and it may not be right for everyone, but for us it was finding manufacturing partners that we could work with so we could focus on growing our business, not running a factory. I told you it was boring. The other thing that we only found out when we went to raise money after 10 years of running the business, in our 11th year we got to raise funds, and the investment we got came in from Coca-Cola eventually. But it was only when we started working with a fundraising advisor, he said, well, what's the financial shape of your business? And we sort of looked at him, we didn't really know what he meant. And he said, well, everyone in the food industry has the similar economic structure. They'll have a gross margin of 40%, and then 10% will go on overheads, and 10% will go on consumer investment like advertising and marketing, and 10% will go into trade, and it gives you 10% of profits. And it was the most simplistic thing. And I'm embarrassed to say, we'd never even thought of it like that. We didn't know what the economic shape of our business needed to be in the industry that we're in. And so I've always sort of told myself, when I'm speaking to a room of people setting their business, pass on that bit of advice, because if we'd have known that earlier, we wouldn't have decimated our profits in 2008, because I would have known that when we had a payroll that was 22%, that was massively out of whack with what anyone else in our industry would have been doing. And it could have sounded a warning bell that maybe we'd sort of got an unsustainable business structure. So there's something there about just understand the numbers, understand what's the right gross margin you need to make to be able to deliver a profit, and how much of that money that you bring into your business, how much should go where? And we think, and again, I'm really not an expert in this, we think you need a minimum of 40% gross margin to be able to have a business that will be profitable and sustainable long term.